make it slightly more formal. A second. Oh, I hadn't actually shared the slides before. One second. Great. I hope you can see my screen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all good.
So welcome guys to the Global Community Call for the future of OpenCovid19. It's July 4th, 14th. And yeah, general announcements. We've got the new platform from last week, which is really cool. There's lots of new features, and really soon. And what I really care about is so probably more like October. We're working towards a peer review system within the platform. So all the lessons we've learned from doing the peer review 5 times now, and from writing a manuscript and really looking at the data, we're making a system that hopefully we can just let anyone use. So if Rachel, for example, had people in her lab that wanted to do a peer review, like a miniature peer review, it could be like a tool they can use, and they can just be like, okay, let's see which project is the best according to these 10 people, if you know what I mean. So yeah, and then a suggestion that made is to make these GCC meetings every 2 weeks so they're predictable as possible, because it's nice knowing that the next GCC is in 2 weeks, etc. So yeah, that's really all the announcements. I'll stop sharing the screen so I can see you guys, and I don't think any projects have been put in the slides.
I did put mine in there, but it has
okay.
It says it's not viewable. And I wasn't sure how to change that. I'm not an expert with Google Docs. Mine's on slide 7.
Okay.
You
can share this. You can share the screen if you'd like. No.
Okay. Let me. I don't know how to make this full screen.
Say present, maybe.
Yeah, I pressed the present, and that seemed to work.
So you want me to share my screen?
Oh yes, please, if you'd like to.
Let's.
Oh yeah, we can see.
Okay.
Cool.
Yay. Okay. So it's been a while, I think, since I gave an update on this project. The main thing I've been working on for the past couple of weeks is assembling a pitch deck and officially applying to the Clean Tech Incubator. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them, but it's good that now I have a pitch deck to approach other investors and other funding sources to try and get funding for the rest of the project after the pilot. I've been searching for a sample maker, and I've been having trouble finding somebody. I need it to be hopefully a manufacturer that can then go on to manufacture the masks afterwards. It's difficult though, because normally they want to have a very large volume. Sometimes manufacturers will let you rent out their sample room, but I'm finding manufacturers that are willing to do that. But once they see the mask itself, it's a pretty complicated design. Definitely not something that's impossible to manufacture. But for most soft goods manufacturers, it's a bit outside of their wheelhouse. I think especially too, because there's so many safety considerations. Right. So things need to be made to exact specifications. So it's hard finding somebody that can do that and is also willing to produce, let's say, like 100 masks. Typically they just want to make one, and then they want to go on to manufacture the whole lot. What's probably going to happen is I'm going to have to do it myself, and I'm going to have to figure out how to make, obviously 3D printing would be easy. It's the sewing and the heat bonding, but I need to figure out how to set up some tooling so that I can manufacture these quickly.
So if you did manufacture them, how would you have some sort of label for what they're meant to do, or what they do? Do you have any liability What do you have?
That's a good question. For the masks that I've made a couple dozen masks that I've sent out that people are presumably still wearing, and I got some initial, user feedback from it. I just send out a document that says this is not FDA approved, not NIOSH certified, testing purposes only, just to CYA. I have a corporation, so at least I'm somewhat shielded from it. But I don't know what the laws are really regarding, legal protection, for this kind of scenario, especially as I move into putting them into a hospital situation. And that's part of why I've been very cautious with the pilot, because I know that cases are starting to rise in Los Angeles, of course, too. So I know that I just want to be careful about that process. Anyway, so I'll probably have to manufacture masks myself, which is not a big deal, but it's waiting for the time to do that. But I'm still searching for somebody. The other thing that I did was I have a ton of documents from the past 10 years about fitting research for respirators. So definitely in the literature, it is a problem for respirator fitting issues for women and people of color. So I have a lot of data to back that up. I have an outline of I have a sort of three parts to the research. One is a quantitative user survey that I want to send out to healthcare workers, either across the US or potentially even worldwide, and have them just answer a series of questions about respirators, like what they use, how do they fit, et cetera. Then I plan to move into a quantitative survey, or I have a list of interview questions of, this would probably be healthcare workers in the US at a specific hospital that I would ask, have maybe a 15-minute interview about respirator usage. And then after that, I would follow up with, here is the respirator itself, and then ask the same questions. So here, questions would be about current respirators that they use, what are the issues, what are the things that they like, and then here's this new version, ask the same series of questions, and then try to get a A to B comparison. And then the last thing is I found out that the CDC is, so I don't know if you guys remember that mobile AR app that I had for respirator fit checking a while back. So that project's been sitting in the background while I've been working on other things, but then I found out that the CDC actually wants to produce an application exactly like this and put it out on the App Store. So I responded to them. I think they had like a sources sought, so essentially like an RFI, request for information. So I wrote to them and let them know that I'm already have an app like this in development, so I'd be interested in working with them. That would be a really cool opportunity if it came up. I almost feel like this is more important than the mask, because it would, just in terms of reach and help and research, it would be awesome. So I'll update you if I hear back from them. Chris, you asked, am I going too long?
No, not at all. Oh, no.
So Chris, you asked about volunteers. So yes, I need at least one volunteer. I'd like for someone to take a look, and I can post it to JOGL, or I can put it on the website and I can post it to Slack. But I'd like for someone to take a look at what I've developed so far with the questions and how I'm approaching the research, just to validate it and make sure that I'm asking the right questions and that I'm not repeating research that's already been done. And so this would, it would be unique. And then, and also just to make sure that it's not too much. I've done user research before and asked these types of surveys, not in a healthcare sort of context. So this is a new domain for me to do this. And that's it.
Okay.
Sounds really good.
It does.
Yeah.
For the volunteers, we've been talking with OSCMS and Yajou.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks ago, we were trying to create like a pipeline where we can work together and we can basically just be like, look, these are JOGL projects that will be good to work on. So that's why I've been recently like asking, like, would you like some volunteers? And also we're getting someone who is specifically for onboarding. So someone on the JOGL team, their entire job, like most of their job will be to find members of the community and be like, or on the Slack and be like, what do you want to do? And then we'll have like a list of the projects. So, but so I hope that comes through soon, especially when we get the onboarder. But the data analysis, I'll email you after this because I think that there's definitely at least a consortium of people that I can think of that would be good for this.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you sent me an email, so I'll just reply to that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah. That'd be awesome. Cool. Thanks.
What your like journey of getting your respirator, and if you do find a manufacturer, it would be so awesome to like tell us how you did it at some point.
Yeah, that's the other thing is documenting, because the NIH has been documenting this too, of just how to approach designing these types of devices in an open source context. So I know that there's a woman named Megan McCarthy, maybe that's a celebrity. I don't remember. I think her name is Megan. Anyway, she's been working on this, so I connected with her. But because they want to create like an entire document of from conception all the way through manufacturing, and theirs is more for 3D printed devices. Mine's a little bit different because of the soft goods, but yeah, that's my big motivation for the project, is I'd like to get to the end, even if it doesn't get funded and I can't get FDA approval and all of that. I'd at least like to get to that point. I do have a manufacturer identified that's excited about the project, but they just, unless I'm going to do like 50,000 units or something, like they're like, no, because they're busy. Yeah. I mean, they're already producing respirators for other people, so I have to wait to get all the way through the process before I can work with them. But yeah, It's been interesting.
Wasn't there something that you were going to be doing with the VA, the Veterans Association?
Yeah, I'm still in touch with them. The VA of Los Angeles is interested in doing a pilot. They expressed early interest. I just need to follow up with them and say, yes, let's go ahead and do this and arrange the resources. And then I've been working with I was working with the innovation team last year. They didn't accept it into their greenhouse program that they have, because I think they're working on non-COVID things for that. But yeah, they're still out there if I need help, so I can reach out to them at least. Yeah, it'd be great to get them as a customer. It'd be cool. But
yeah,
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm happy to fill in your survey for you, Hunter, if you want, but I'm definitely not an expert in how to make these kinds of surveys. So I think all those social scientists from the JOGL end are probably more likely to be helpful.
Yeah.
I think especially Bastian is part of a group of people who do research on open science, so I'm sure that he'd be really interested. Actually, you might have probably talked to him before. I think he might have been a speaker last week.
Yeah, he's great, and he has that whole thing about patient centered innovation and so on.
Okay, all right, Jonathan. So I guess what I'll do then is I'll put my document online, and I'll just send out a link to it and put a message on Slack. And Max had mentioned too that there's a newsletter, so I can I'll send him a blurb about that too. I think maybe if people see it, then someone can take a look at it and have some opinions on it, respond to it. So I'll put that up.
How is the coronavirus detective?
Yeah, Corona Detective is we're really in the same sort of shape as Hunter in terms of hoping to find a standardized manufacturing possibility. And so the exciting news is that we've gotten more regular contacts now with this big American company that's really expert in different freeze drying methods and lyophilization, and also for reactions like Corona Detective. And so we hope this will come together. And actually the last email that I got last night said that they want to have a call again. So this will be our second call with them. And so maybe Friday, Monday, or Tuesday, the team and the CEO of the company will be talking about it all. And it's really at the stage where they do the proof of principle batch. But for us, that's still basically, they say we don't have to pay them a lot to do that, but we have to provide everything. And so for our Open Public Community Lab, it's still quite a lot of money. And we're hoping that Ali, who's in California, might be able to send the master mix, but we're talking about it all now. And I think everything still looks really good for the method. And the question is just if we can get it to the people that have the most need of it in these resource-strapped settings, and keep the price low enough that they can use it regularly.
Awesome. Whilst you were saying that, I just realized that I've been part of a project that was making a manufacturer database on helpful engineering, and I don't know if you've used it, but maybe you'll see manufacturers in your local area that could help. I just sent the link.
I think for the actual reaction components and the method, it's not so good, but maybe because we're thinking about the different use cases, if we had some sort of self-testing thing where you just have 1 or 2 reactions rather than 8 in a strip, and like the GMO detective. So yeah, it could be useful for getting the sort of individualized possibilities. But that doesn't come, it's more expensive when you go 1 by 1, right? And with little blister packs and everything to avoid pipetting.
Do you think NEB would ever be interested in?
Yeah, so the people from NEB are hopefully gonna help us in one way or another. The thing is they have just acquired another freeze drying company that's based in England. And so they might be more likely to help us more if we use their British new company. So we have to, well, we're hoping that we'll ultimately be able to play them off each other and find the best deal as quickly as possible. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Cool. Thank you. David's also here this week. I don't know if you have anything to say.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm sorry I was a little bit late. I was not able to update in filling the form. I will do it after the meeting or during the meeting. If you allow me to share my screen, I have some small updates to the project.
Yes, please do.
I think the last time you saw this slide, this is the one that I presented. So I mentioned that we already had this aluminum and acrylic chassis completed. We were working on the automation of the pumps, the mixers, and fraction collector, and the rest of the subunit that we're going to be incorporated in one single graphic interface for the user. The update at this moment is that all the integration of the sensors that I mentioned before, like in here, that at this moment are based on a Raspberry Pi that is going to include the LED for measuring the protein concentration, a laser cut flow cell. We are redesigning it because it has some mistakes, and a UV sensor. Those are going to be incorporated ultimately in another PCB board that is going to be a dedicated PCB board, and this is more or less like the update that I have is it's a little bit like the bioreactor PCB board that we had completed, like this one. It's the same architecture. It's a SP32 based. It's going to have, instead of just one NEMA control, it's going to have 5 because of the axis that we need to control the pipetter and the pump. And also integrating the rest of the sensors, not the sensor like the one I presented in the Raspberry Pi version, but the naked sensor, more a smaller and cheaper version. So yeah, yesterday we had a meeting with another member of the team that is in charge of designing the PCB board. So he will be already working on that. So hopefully we have that completed in maybe a couple of weeks. And we're going to test it with the already available chassis of the acrylic and the rest of the programming that we're going to need. We have a couple of proteins that we're going to test. That the one that we prepared for the bioreactor project. I'm working on another plasmid that will help us for testing for another protein. But yeah, so far these are the updates that I have at this moment.
Oh, awesome. Some good progress, especially if you're talking about purifying already. Yeah.
So does
Yeah.
your
Awesome.
does your bioreactor feed into the system somehow, or is it separate?
Oh, okay. Actually, I have it in next to my desk. I can show you. So one second. As you can see, this is the portable version. It also has the same SPS32 based PCB board. This is the completed one. I have another one in the lab. I brought this one here back at home for repairing a few things, but essentially what it has already, a calorimeter for measuring the input of the air. Here you have the bag, and this is the rocking system, like boom, boom, for moving. It had a thermal a sensor, so you can measure. We have already updated the last version of our firmware. I'm going to test with another round of protein, but the idea is that once you have your cell culture here, with the peristaltic pump that is missing here, you have two peristaltic pumps, one for the air here and two peristaltic pumps. Then you connect it to the proteopressor for collecting the cells, filtering them, and then perform a round of lysis with a lysis buffer. And then the clarified extract goes directly into the column with the pump that the proteopressor is going to be incorporating. So this is more or less like we're connecting the two projects in one system. So yeah, we hopefully as soon as we have the rest of the proteopressor completed, we can test both of them. It will be beautifully to have seen it working. I mean, I would like to have this all the steps automated and have like a kind of a juice coming out of the column that you have your proteins, and then just ready to be loaded in the gel. So yeah, we're working hard on that.
That's industrial. That's how they make proteins in industry. That's incredible. Well, wow. It'd be so cool for you to have when you do it, you should definitely have a video and a tutorial on how to use it.
I'm going to update that because our website here in Mexico, Glixon, didn't have the website for some technical glitches. It's already there, but I'm going to upload the videos and of course the assembly process and everything to the website, so you guys can see the whole process. I hope Adrian doesn't going to take that much assembling this. There's some shortage, as you know, with the electronics at this moment due to COVID and some shortage in China, but we hope we can complete this with some available parts that we have in storage. So
is Adrian making the same?
Yeah.
Where he's wow.
Oh yeah, Adrian. Well, you know, here in Mexico, what I have in my lab is for testing and doing all the molecular biology and biochemistry of the protein. Adrian and his team, they are the wizards of the electronics. So yes, we are like in this conglomerate, like they have specialized in that, and I have specialized in the rest of the biochemistry. So yeah, we join as forces, and we split all the activities like that. So yeah.
When you do finish it, you should definitely write a little paper on it working.
Oh
yeah,
we're working on that too. So yeah, this the way it has been a little bit hectic. You can imagine this is not the only project that we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not been crazy, but we love it.
Thanks. Cool.
Good.
I think that's all the project leaders today. But there is one kind of question as we move towards the goal of peer review in the platform. Is there anything that was missing apart from maybe the quality of the administration on like the peer review process that you want? What would you like to see if there was like some perfect peer review process on JOGL? Did you have any problems with it that you didn't quite agree with, for example?
We're very happy with it, obviously. But I mean, I guess the one question is if people can just sign in to peer review something that they're interested in. There was that one time the problem that somebody got all their friends and then they sort of got in trouble. And so is there a way to make it even more open, or does it have to be just this limited crew? Because then people start pointing and saying, oh, it's just this elitist thing. They're mainly really academics. They're not really biohackers, or, you know, things like that.
So on that point, we're sort of thinking that you could create a button and to be part of a peer review, and you're not allowed to actually peer review the project you want, the project that you would like to review. You're forced first to review a random project. It's just obviously there's a big bias in reviewing any project that you'd like to review, because you can get your friends and they'll be like, oh yeah, this is amazing, even though it could be awful. So creating a system where you're sort of brute forced into, you can only really actually review the projects that the review would like you to review, maybe based on your skills or based on just the random project.
I think the one thing with that is, especially since I come from such a different background, most of the projects, not most of them, but maybe about half of the projects were not of my skill set. So I had trouble. So I tended to go for the projects that were maybe a little bit easier, and obviously the hardware things, since that's mostly where my knowledge is. But it seemed like there were other projects that I would have liked to have reviewed. And I think I selected one or two outside of it, but yeah, so they weren't necessarily within my skill set. And it seemed like a couple of the reviewers that I had did have that particular skill set, because they mentioned some specific things about manufacturing, but I'm not sure if everyone did.
Maybe there could be some kind of button that you could click to forsake having to review a certain project, and you could be like, I don't have to.
And rotated another one.
Yeah, to go to a new one.
Yeah.
Or it tries to, or we rely more on the sort of the platform skills. So the platform itself has, you give yourself some skills, and then it matches you up for like your perfect projects for review or something. Yeah, that's a really good point on not actually always random being best, honestly. And I saw that as well.
A little bit like a directory that you more or less can address to the specialist that you have, like, okay, this person more or less has some experience on this back in this area, or maybe in this area, which is other than not that different from the academic peer review, when you're sent to review a paper, it's a little bit like that, I came from that world, and yeah, sometimes you are not even asked, you're simply sent the papers, and it's like, well, you have to do it, right? Because it's kind of well, otherwise nobody was going to review your paper. But normally what they tend to do, at least for PLOS or for the JBAC, Journal of Bacteriology, that is the one I have experience, is you're more or less interested depending on the area or the field of the expertise. So you are more or less asked before, like, what would you like to review, this and that. So that would be convenient to have more like a little bit. I know it's difficult because here we do a lot of things together. It's overlapping all the time. It's skills, right? I mean, like you just do molecular biology, but as well you do a little bit of hardware engineering, or sometimes you do this and this and that. So the spectrum is a little bit more broader, right? It's not that specialized in the academics. So maybe just identify a few of the people that more or less have that experience that is quite known or highlighted. That could be helpful, right? Instead of just being such a random thing. But adding a little bit of randomness help you it helps you a little bit with the biases, because sometimes when you are in one specific area, you just want to review those projects. and it's not bringing much diversity into the reviewers, right? So maybe, okay, maybe it's a little bit different for you to when you need to review a different type of project, but it can add a different point of view, right? So a little bit of mixture of that. You have like hardcore specialists and other people that can help you to navigate around from a different point of view. That's my perspective.
I'm really glad that you said that, because it counters what Hunter said a tiny bit. So maybe we didn't go completely wrong in the randomness. But at the same time, I'm definitely aware that you can't, maybe being completely random is quite bad, and that you can have people that don't know. And also your point on the JOGL community, especially people in this room, maybe their skill sets are very, very, very wide. So the reviewing is really easy, but maybe in like 2 years' time, when this whole movement is maybe bigger and more collaborative, they'll have people who are really specific in a certain area and can't do anything else, and so it wouldn't be fair really to have them review.
Well, my point of view is, like, I've seen many other projects at JOGL or other similar projects. Well, the quality is great, honestly. It's parallel to academic work in many cases. So what I believe in the community, or I hope the community could evolve in the future, is quite similar to how we've seen these academic societies at this moment. Maybe with the level of independent, more independent that we have at this point, right? That if you want to work with, well, I in my case, I have been hired by academics sometimes to do all the work, and yeah, I mean, I believe it's like a little bit of the future is that many academics are filling up the groups in biohacking for completing a part of what academic cannot do at this moment due to several things, lack of funding or organization or specialization. I mean, I've seen those cases many times. So I don't know. In my personal view, I think that is the future. Is this collaborative network is actually sometimes even more effective than academic network sometimes. Yeah, but that's my point of view.
Okay, thanks. I've got a meeting this week about it, and I'll definitely bring up these points and try and design it. So maybe, so we've got a project on JOGL where I've been sharing stuff, and maybe I'll like take a photo of what the current designs are and see what you think as well, because that'd be cool. Okay,
great.
Is anyone else anything to say?
The only thing I should say is that the people from the big company just emailed me and they proposed next Wednesday for the meeting. And so I'm going to have to push them off, because I told Gamali that I would do the JOGL Africa event next Wednesday. So I think on maybe Thursday will work for our big next call with the producers.
Congratulations.
But yeah, so if we have just one global community call, but we always have other things, and it's still every Wednesday, right?
Yeah. So I guess the next global community call is in 2 weeks. And should we do the photo at the end that we always do? Why not?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm gonna bring my dog. She's barking.
Okay.
She needs between her
She
and the
wants
cat.
to be in.
Yes. She wants snacks, but the photo.
Hello. Look, it doesn't want to look at the screen.
I hope it was useful. If there's anything you need, by the way, please message me or message on any of the channels, and we'll help as much as we can, especially with volunteers. So say hi. I'm going to try and take a screenshot. Same as last time, where it takes a bit longer. I actually know the shortcut.
Cutie.
Hi. Perfect. Thank you.
I got it.
Yeah.
So
All right.
just 6 of us then, is that right? Just 6?
Yeah, this time.
Well, it's like it's summertime too. I mean, maybe,
Mm.
especially with France having this whole thing that August is off, maybe there should be a summer break too.
Mm. So that could be a good idea, especially as Thomas couldn't make it, Paige couldn't make it, me, the JOGL team couldn't make it to this meeting. So maybe if we wait a bit longer, we might get lots of new updates as well. Okay, see you guys.
Good to
Thanks
see
a lot.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
See you in a couple
Bye.
weeks.
See you.
Yeah, thanks.